In this video, we're going to build this Cupcake app. So you can find this in the beginner course of the Android development on developer.android. So this app uses a navigation component and ViewModel and intents. So we studied navigation, ViewModel, intents in isolation. So with this app, we can put everything into action, right? So let's take a look at how this works. Okay, this is the first screen, right? Not too complicated. Just as a top bar and an image and a text and 3 buttons. We can create this. Top bar again. Okay, not too complicated. If you knew how to align using columns and rows, you're good to go. So buttons, and there we go. Nothing special. So we're just selecting some. Okay, when we press the arrow, we go back. So they're using the navigation component. When we select, so we can select this. So when we select, nothing really happens. Okay, so when we first click on the select the first date, the price is gonna increase, and the other 3 won't increase any price. Okay, so in the final screen, the order summary screen, it displays all the options we have selected so far. So they use the ViewModel and UI state to track all the things we have clicked so far. We have selected so far, and when we press this and order to another app, it displays like this, and when you click the Gmail, it displays like this. So we're going to build this app on our own, right? I want to preface this video by saying that at this point, only focus on the features and how to implement, how to add a navigation component and ViewModel and intent to your app. Stop worrying about the design of your app, okay? Although this app's design is not that complicated, so you can probably create it. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get started. Okay, before we start building the app, I want to show you how to clone this project. So first, let me delete this project. So if you go to wherever your Windows is installed, I believe you need to go to the users folder and name of your, and here you can see there's a folder for Android Studio projects. This is where you would find all the projects you create with the Android Studio. So this is the app. So I want to delete this so I can show you how to clone the app. Okay, I deleted that. Let's try to find that app. Okay, it's in navigation, I think. There we go, Cupcake. Okay, this is the GitHub page for the app, I believe. So let's copy the code. You need to select the HTTPS, not SSH. So click the copy button and go to the Android Studio. Okay, then press the hamburger icon, press the new project from version control, and paste the thing you copied. And then you can create the folder you want it to clone. I'm gonna say Cupcake app, and press the clone button. Assume okay, assuming you have the Git installed and you have a GitHub account and you have set up the Git inside of the Android Studio, it should automatically clone it. Okay, it cloned successfully. Now you want to check what branch you are on. So usually when you clone it, you should be on the main branch or anywhere, I don't know. So if you're not familiar with the Git, you can ask ChatGPT. For example, here I'm saying what is the command to check the current branch, and it says use git branch. So let's try using it. So we are on the main branch. And then you can also ask ChatGPT what's the command to move to a different branch. It will probably say use git checkout. To be honest, I didn't know what's the command to see what branch I'm on. So use git checkout and the branch name to move to that branch. So these are the branches, right? So if you go to the GitHub and their GitHub page, you can see there's this icon thingy. If you click that, you can see all the branches. So if you want to go to the navigation branch, use git checkout navigation and make sure you don't mistype the branch name. Switch to a new branch. Okay, so currently we are on the navigation branch. So let's run the git branch again. So we're on the navigation branch. So let's try running this app. Okay, this navigation branch has completed project. Okay, that's pretty much it. So if you wanted to find the inside your file manager, if you wanted to find this app inside of file manager, go to the Android Studio projects inside of your users folder or something. Let me try to find it. Okay, I called it Cupcake app, right? So there we go. You can now see this inside of your file manager. Okay, anyway, we're going to use the Cupcake image, so copy this somewhere you can access later. That's pretty much it. Okay, let's start building the app. I'm gonna call this app Cupcake YT and click finish, and First, I want to get the image they used for the first screen. So let me get that. I'm gonna save that in a folder. Okay, so I saved the cupcake image in the download folder. So it's in an XML file format. So to import that, right? There's probably, yep, we need to use the tool manager, I think. Select the resource manager, press the plus icon, drawable resource file. Maybe not. Okay, maybe import drawables. Okay. So this is the file. Okay. So we imported that. Okay, now let's create all the data we use in the app. For that, let's create a data folder. So essentially, all the names for the buttons we use. So so I'm going to create all those data for those buttons. Okay, first, so let's create a folder. Click on the package and type in data. And then inside of that, let's create a data source file. Okay. Here I'm gonna create a list of names. So list of strings. So for the first screen, we had 3 buttons, right? One for it just displayed the amount of cupcake we want to select. So let's create that. I want to create a list, so I'm going to use a list of. So I'm going to use a pair. This allows you to create 2 items inside of this object, one for the string and another for the integer. So the string's gonna say 1 cupcake and the integer will say 1. So we need this integer. I'm planning on storing this number in the quantity UI state of. I'm planning on saving this integer in the UI state as a quantity variable. So I can just use one whole string to represent this. So if we wanted to use just 2 items inside of an object, you can just use the pair instead of creating your own data class. For example, you might want to use data class to represent. You probably use something like this to create 2 items inside of a data object, right? So instead of using like this, you can use a pair. So now you can just pass in some values for that. For the first value, I'm going to pass in 1 cupcake. For the second, I'm going to pass in an integer. just like this. I'm going to create 3 more of this. I mean 2 more of this. I've created the list, and if we hover over it, we get some errors. So let's just assign this list to some variable. Let's call this quantity options and assign this. Now the error went away. To quickly format this, press Ctrl Alt L. Okay, that didn't do much. Okay, next let's create the names we used for the flavor screen. It's gonna be also a list, so a list of just plain strings. For the first option we have vanilla. Just like this, I'm gonna create the rest of the flavors. Okay, now just assign this to a variable. Let's call this flavors. Okay, that's pretty much it. You can okay, I made a typo. You can either use it like this or wrap this in an object. Let's wrap this in an object. Let's call that object data source. Instead of the object, these two things will become properties. Okay, I believe we have enough data and image to create the first screen. Let's create a UI folder. Okay, we already have a UI folder, right? Let's go to the project. Inside of the project, we can see all the folders. Okay, this is not letting us see all the folders, so let's go to project files. Maybe it has it. Okay, there we go. Inside of the UI, we want to create the screens we want to create. So the initial screen is called start order screen. So let's create that. Let's call it start order screen. All right. Let's create a function and make this composable. Let's call this start order screen. Let's annotate it with composable. Okay. So if you look at the initial screen, we have an image and a big text saying order cupcakes and 3 buttons. So let's try creating it. And these are in a column, right? Let's first use a column. And then inside of that, let's create an image. This image as a painter. parameter, and that takes painter resources. For the resource, we're gonna pass the image we imported, which is Cupcake, and okay, we need to provide the description, content description. This is complaining, we might want to import it. Okay, for the description, we're not gonna provide anything. No. Okay, that should do it. So underneath this image, we have a text. This as a text property. Alright, so we are getting all these imports. Let's go back and turn on the auto import. Editor, general, auto import. Okay, we have it turned on, but still we are getting all this garbage. Maybe it's because I didn't correctly use the folder or something file. For the text, let's say order cupcakes. So you may want to use string resources for all of this, but I'm not going to use this. So next we need to create 3 buttons. So when you are creating buttons, like multiple buttons, instead of creating each buttons individually, you might want to loop over a list and then just call the buttons instead of the loop. For example, we have here we have a list of quantity options, right? I'm just gonna loop over this using for each or something, and then inside of the loop body, I'm just gonna call a composable function. So if all it takes to render a composable is you just need to call the composable function, and it will correctly render the composable. So let's use a quantity. Okay, we need to use the data source, right? Either you can use this and pass the create the buttons like this, or you expect the options in the parameters, and then you use the options to loop over it. So let's say you expect a quantity options, which is a data source or something. You probably want is as a list of, where is it? A list of pair. So let's go here and then just say it's a list of pair, and this pair takes in a string and then an integer. Close this. Why are we getting like this? Okay, we might don't want. Okay, that's it. So here, let's say quantity option, and then for each. Now we can create the buttons. Inside of this for each we get the it. So the it is a pair. So the it becomes this pair. So let's create a composable for to render these buttons. The good old button might work. Okay, this button. Text. For the text, the first thing is the it. Let's use the $sign and curly braces. It dot. We can use the first and second to reference to get the values. So this is the first value and this is the second value. Comma, and then it does second. So we pretty much created the options and buttons for the first screen. So there is some gap between these, so we're not going to worry about that at the moment. So let's create a preview for this and see how it looks like. For the quantity option, we need to pass the data source and quantity options, and that's pretty much it. Let's run it. So we already have an error which is expecting. Okay. What are these errors? So we got an error saying that we need to update this project's version of the Android Dreidel plugin. Okay, I fixed that stupid error. So we need to go to files and then project, where's that? Project structure. And here we go to the modules folder and click on this 35 API and click OK. So that should do it. That should fix your error. Okay, now let's click on the preview. So there we go. We have an image and text, and we probably need to align it. Vertical arrangement. Okay, we might want to put this in the column, so there we go. I'm gonna add some modifiers. Let's give this fill max width. Fill max size. add some spacer, height of 50 dp. Okay, I'm gonna also use the same thing under here. Let's render this inside of a column. So that way we can also align them. Let's align them, give them max, not max size, but align them in center. Let's also use the horizontal alignment. Align center vertically. Okay, there we go. We got the first screen. Let's create the second screen. Inside of this, and let's call this select option screen. Select options screen. Let's create a composable. Let's call it select options. Okay, this as 5 radio buttons and a line and some text and 2 buttons. This screen is also used for the third screen, but with some but the data is kind of different. So let's make this reusable. So whenever a component is reused, we want to reuse that components. So let's say we also expect the options from past. So for the options, we expect a list of the string. And then for each options, we render a radio button. So radio button, we haven't used that. It's pretty simple. Okay, it has a, so let's make it bigger. It has selected parameter and then on-click parameter. So if the selected parameter expects a boolean, so if the boolean is true, the radio button has a dot in the middle, so that's how we know it's selected. So we need to render radio buttons. So if we look at that, it's not just the radio buttons, there's also some text. So text after it. So let's use a row. Let's put the radio button in front and text after it. For the row, so let's press Alt, Enter, and import, and okay, row. Let's say for the boolean, let's say false for now. And then there is some text, right? So we need to create a text composable. So options, we probably get string, so we can just use it like this. Let's create the preview for this. For the option, let's select data source and flavors. Okay, we want to run this select, not that. Select option screen. Okay, it's bad. So let's wrap this in a column. Also, let's go back to the start ice cream or select all these parameters. We're gonna reuse that. So this, so we're vertically aligning it, horizontal alignment, and then fill max size. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing out of the ordinary. We're just centering it. Okay, I forgot to put this in the column. So if you're wondering how the hell am I getting these hints, so if you press Alt Enter, you get these options, right? So you have the option for disable option, implicit receiver in lanes. If you press this, it goes away. And then if you press enable option for this, you get those hints. So let's rerun it. All right. So we probably don't want to center it. Let's use the start. Where's the start option? So top, bottom, space around, aligned. Okay, I think this is the right option. Maybe this one. Okay, I think this one. Alignment start. So if you don't know this, if you don't know all these properties and whatever, I'm gonna leave the link to the video where they talk about this. Let's also align the elements inside of the row. Horizontal alignment, arrange, center. Okay, vertical alignment. There we go. That's it. That's the thing. Still kind of different. So then we have a divider, right? So after the option, we want to create a line. So that line is called divider. And it's deprecated. Horizontal divider. Okay, let's use the horizontal divider. And then what's next? And then we need to use the subtotal text. So this subtotal is used in this screen and the next screen. So let's create a folder called components, and inside of that we're gonna put in all the reusable tiny components. Let's call it component. Okay. Inside of this common, let's call it common UI. That's what they're calling. In the common UI, let's create a formatted string or something. So it's just a string that represents total, right? You can just call it anywhere, anything. So I'm gonna call it formatted total. And this is a composable. This composable returns a text. My this composable is gonna be different from the one they use in the actual code. They use string resources for this, but I'm not gonna use the string resources. But at the end of the video, I'm gonna show you how to use the string resources here. For the text, let's say subtotal something, and here. So we expect some parameter. Let's call it subtotal. And this is gonna be a string. We're just gonna use it like this. Okay, let's go back to the previous screen. Okay, anyway, if you to quickly so there's some shortcuts I want to show you. So if you press shift 2 times, you get this global search options. So here you can quickly search for any variables or any names. So we created formatted output, right? We can search for that. Formatted total. Okay, there we go. We got that formatted total. You can quickly find you know, functions like this. Also there is so here if we press Ctrl B, it will take to the definition or declaration of the object or function, class, or whatever. Remember those two shortcuts, and it's going to be pretty handy if you want to navigate a complicated looking file structure or a project or something. So let's use that formatted total. For the total, we expect let's expect total from here. Subtotal, it's a string. Okay, now we can just say use a subtotal from there. For the subtotal, let's pass in 10. Okay, it expects a string, so like this. Okay, maybe we don't want to render it inside of the for each loops. That's why it's creating like this. So outside of the loop, so it doesn't create this every loop. Okay, we might want to create this inside of the loop. So we want to create the divider inside of the loop. Okay, the subtotals is not in the right place. It was here, right? So we can use a line for that. So let's use the modifier. So we want to make the common UI expect a modifier. Let's say modifier and pass this modifier down to this. So what is this? It's kind of like we have made some typo. Let's rename it. Select, let's make it select. Let's click select options screen. Okay. So for the modifier, let's align, alignment, and there is no composable named. So we got some error. Okay, there we go. So next we want to create two buttons. So the buttons are arranged one after another. So we can use the row for this. Inside of this row, let's use outline button for the text. Let's say cancel. And then we're going to create a normal button for the text. Next. Okay, we probably want to use this inside of the column. Cut and paste it. For now, let's not worry about the styles. After we build all the functionalities, we're gonna worry about the styles later. So pretty much our app kind of looks done, but these two buttons should take the size of the entire screen, right? We can probably use a modifier for that. So let's give the row max size. Fill max size. To make our app flexible or take like fraction of the available screen. For example, if you want to take half the available screen, we can use 1F. I don't know how it works, but it just works. So we use the weight For the weight, we pass it like this, and then we do the same thing here. So it probably divides the whole available screen like 2 pieces, and it gives the each buttons 1 piece each. So basic fractions, they should have half the screen for each of them. Okay, this is kind of weird. I can probably give it some padding and all that, but let's not worry about that for a moment. Okay, let's give the spacer element and modifier height. Okay, 50 dp. Okay, fine. Since this is a reusable component, all we need to do is provide some options for different options and different for the subtitle, subtotal or whatever, and it's gonna look different. So the third we could technically take care of third screen. So let's look at the fourth screen. Okay, let's create that fourth screen. Let's call it a summary screen. So in this screen, we have a 3 big text titles kind of thingy. So titles say quantity, and then we have some string says that says 12 cupcakes, flavor. So this is all the things we selected from the previous screen. For the flavor, some string, pickup date. Okay, these although kind of seems different, but they are similar. So they share the same font size. So essentially they're just text, right? Let's use a for loop and create for each loop and create these UI components. We could probably either create them. Okay, we need so we need to have the access to the values the user has selected. These values are stored inside the UI state in the view model. So let's get back to this screen once we add those things to the view model. So let's go back to the main. Okay, let's delete all this. We don't need them. Let's create another screen called Cupcake screen. outside the UI alongside the main activity called Cupcake screen. Make this composable, call this Cupcake screen. Okay, paste the scaffold. Inside of this scaffold, okay, let's create another function. Let's call it Cupcake app. Make this composable. It takes a modifier. Let's put this inside of the scaffold. For the modifier, let's also pass the inner padding to this. If we don't, it's gonna keep on complaining. All right. So we have a scaffold, Cupcake. So we created 3 screens, and the last screen needs states, so we can't create that. Let's use navigation component and add these routes. Add the screens as routes. Let's get the nav controller first. We can use a remember nav controller for that, and we get some. Okay, let's add a type nav host controller. When we do this, we get this option. Just remember this. Okay, if we remember this, we can easily add navigation component. Okay, next we need to create nav host. If we hover over it, what do we get? All sorts of things. We know for a fact this expects a start screen and a nav host controller. So for the nav host controller, let's pass in nav host controller. For the start destination, okay, maybe this is okay, we need to select a composable, right? Is this the composable? What is composable here? So let's say nav host navigation. This is a interface. Why are we getting an interface? Get rid of that import. Okay, let's try that again. Now host. Okay, we need to add that dependency. Didn't I do that? Why? Okay, there we go. For the now passing the now controller. For the start destination, we're gonna leave it empty. Instead of this, we get composables. Composable. Okay, we now need to create the enum class to represent all the roots. This is gonna take a long time, but let me speed it up. I'm gonna call this Cupcake screen. Start flavor pickup. There's the screen. The third screen is called pickup. So the last screen is called summary. Okay. For the first root, let's use the Cupcake screen start name, I believe. And then we just need to pass the actual composable start order screen. Start order screen, quantity option, let's pass the actual thing, data source, quantity options. Okay, first screen done. So the next screen is called flavor. That screen is select option screen. It takes in subtotal and option. For the option, let's use the data source and flavors. For the subtotal, let's just leave it like this. So the pickup screen, right? Although it kind of looks similar, this is dynamically created. So we need to dynamically create it. So we pretty much like what's happening now. Conflicting overload. Let's just say roots. Then we need to use a root. Okay, I had to change the enum class name because it was it had the same name as this. So let's try actually running this app. So the Cupcake and everything looks fine. Do we have this in the main activity? Nope. Cupcake screen probably. Okay, we have everything. Let's switch back to app. Let's turn all this. Let's go. So our app is crashing, I think. Okay, there are some crashes. Why? illegal cannot have an empty start destination route. Oh, right. So the start destination route is this one, Cupcake. Okay, there we go. So how do we navigate? We can't navigate. Alright, so we can really see these two screens because there's no code to navigate. Okay, so we add a navigation component. Let's try adding the view model now. So that way we can finally create third screen and the fourth screen. So it's in the view models, probably inside of the view UI folder. So let's call it Cupcake view model or something. So we need to extend it from the view model, and then we need to call it. So now we need to create a UI state. So the UI state holds all the values, right? These state values are used by the Jetpack Compose to render the actual screens. ViewModels holds data and states. So how do we decide what state to hold? So the simple rule of thumb I use is any data or UI component the user can click, and those change because of the click event should be saved to UI state. For example, when we select flavor, when we select quantity or something like those things, we want to keep them in the UI state. Let's create the UI state inside of the data. Let's call it whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna call it Cupcake UI state. So whatever makes sense. We first want to make this a data class, and inside of this we want to add construct what data we want to hold. For example, we want to hold the quantity where the user selects at the first screen. So I'm going to use the quantity. It's gonna be an integer. Initially it will be 0. Next we want to keep track of flavor the user selected. This is gonna be string. Initially it's gonna be an empty string. Next we want to keep track of the pickup date. This is also gonna be a string. So we want to keep track of the prices. This will be used in the subtotal okay. So that's pretty much it, right? These are the only things we want to keep track of. Okay, when I went back to the Cupcake screen, all the things are red. So why is this? Create function remember now controller. Okay, for whatever reason our dependency has been broken. Okay, let's search for this navigation components dependency real quick. Navigation component dependency. All right. So these are the dependency. What is this? Okay. Integration, views, fragments. Okay. Project. Maybe the app module. I'm gonna paste everything. Sync now. Okay, now the error's gone. Let's create the view model. So it's probably, okay, Cupcake view model. First we need to extend it. Okay, the view model is already built into this version of Android Studio I am using. Okay, let's start creating a mutable state flow. So mutable state flow. So we need to pass the UI state, which is Cupcake UI state, and initialize it. This will return a mutable state flow object. So we want to make this just state flow. This state flow variable is gonna be passed, exposed to other composable other functions. Okay, as state flow will make it just the readable read only. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now we just need to create some helper functions. So if we look at the third screen, that screen displays the dates. It displays today and the next 2-3 days, I think. So when we pick today, the price of the total price is gonna be increased because it's a same day delivery or something. Let's set some constants for the prices of cupcakes. For the single cupcake, it's gonna cost $2 or something. You can call this variable whatever you want. So if we create a constant like this, const it's you usually use all uppercases. So let's just say price per cupcake or something. Set it to 2. For the same day delivery, there's increased price. So for the same day delivery, we charge $3 more on top of the price of cupcakes. Same day same day pickup or something, pickup or delivery, whatever you want to pick. Okay, now let's create helper functions. So on the first screen, the user selects the amount of cupcakes they want, right? So let's create a function for that. It's helper function to set quantity to the UI state. Set quantity, I'm going to call this set quantity. So this is going to take a number of cupcakes as input, which is an integer, and then it's going to update the UI state. So UI state, we could either use the value. Previously I just used value, but when I looked at the code, they are using update. So this update method passes the current UI state. So let's say current UI state, and then we need to return some cupcake UI state object. So current UI state is a cupcake UI state object, so let's copy it. The only thing we want to modify is the quantity. So the quantity is the number of cupcakes. Also, we might want to update the price. So price is number of cupcakes times the total, right? So can we just quantity, what type of data type is this? So the quantity, I mean the price is a string. Not cool. So if it was an integer, we could have just multiplied it. So let's go back and just change it. Let's modify it real quick. Int 0. And for the cupcake, for the price, we just say number of cupcakes multiplied by, where is it? Price per cupcake. So that's a thing. And for the set flavor, right? Let's create a function that sets the flavor. So we have a field for flavor. We take in the desired flavor, which will be a string. UI state update, we get the current cake UI state and cupcake copy flavor, desired flavor. Okay. Next, we need to set the pickup. fun set pickup date. So the pickup date, we take in a pickup date, which is gonna be a string, and then we just update just the pickup date. Cupcake. So if they select this today, we want to add additional, we want to increase the price. So for now, let's just comment add additional same day pickup costs extra. So we want to check if they selected the same day pickup or something, and then we can just update it. So the third screen has all these dates, right? We haven't created that. I said it's created dynamically. So let's create that. So I'm gonna just copy the function from the source code. At the end of the video, I'm gonna explain how it works. For now, let's just copy it from the source code. I'm gonna also try to explain it. So we are just creating a list of a mutable list of strings. For now, it's just empty. So the calendar, right? So this calendar, there's a calendar object. If we call get instance, it returns a calendar object. So we're gonna assign this to a calendar. And then there is a simple date format object. This takes in a pattern and a locale. So I'm gonna use this pattern. Don't worry, I'll explain it at the end of the video. And it takes a locale. So I'm gonna use locale US. So locale is just used to format currencies and date. So we're just telling format the currency and date as used in United States or something. So we're gonna assign this to formatter. And then we're gonna use the repeat function. Inside of this, let's add date. So before we do that, let's say formatter. This format, simple date format as a format method that takes in a date object. So calendar, if we call get time or something, it will return a date object. So it returns a date object. So next what we want to do is calendar as an add method, which will be used to add a date, additional, like increase the date of the current. So the calendar get instance returns a current date, right? So if we use the add method, we can increase that date. So we're just saying, so the first parameter takes the date object or something. Okay. So this returns a string, and we want to add the string to date options. Okay, so essentially this creates a list of strings that looks like this. So let's return this date options. So make this return type a list of string. Okay, that's pretty much it. And we got pickup options. So if we call this function, we get date options. So now we have the date options, right? So let's go back to the initial screen. Okay, now we can just pass in the option for this. So we need to use the ViewModel for this, right, in order to pass that. Okay, let's say Cupcake ViewModel. Get it from the ViewModel. Cupcake ViewModel dot u. Okay, we just need to pass the pickup options. So let's go here and say Cupcake ViewModel pickup options. Okay, that's pretty much it. Okay, now let's populate the UI state when the user clicks on the, when the user selects cupcakes or flavors and things like this. Also, we're gonna navigate. So the initial screen, what is that? So the start order screen. This is our initial screen. So let's run it and so we have the on-click buttons. So what do we want to do? When we click the buttons, we want to call the set function in the ViewModel, right? So let's close other tabs, and just open up the ViewModel. Okay. All right, set quantity. We want to call the set quantity when we click the button. Also, let's open up the Cupcake screen. Okay. So as you can see, this is where we initialized our ViewModel, right? So we are not initializing inside of this. Each composables but at the top of the level, so every screen can get the same view model. So the initial screen, let's say we need to pass the function. So the view model has Cupcake ViewModel dot set quantity, right? We need to call this function. Start order screen. If we go to the start order screen, there is no such thing. So there's no, so it does not have the access to that function. So we need to pass it down. I'm gonna cut it for a minute and say let's I'm gonna call this on select quantity or something. So this takes in so number of cupcakes. So number of, let's say number of cupcakes. Okay. So and then we're gonna just say number of cupcakes. We're also gonna say int. So what is this? Okay, we need to create that start order screen number. Okay, on select, let's just copy it, bro. So this expects a unit. So when we click on that, click on the button on select quantity, should run and it should pass in the it dot second to many argument int. All right, so when we press on the button on select quantity, is gonna run passing in the integer, which is this 1612. So it's gonna set the quantity in the UI state. So still we're getting some error. Why is that? Okay, this is because of this. All right, so next we want to navigate to the next screen. So inside of the same screen, we want to run another function now. So when we click this, we need to run navigate up. So we need to run another function. Let's say on quantity. Okay, let's go back here and then say, so it takes the number of cupcakes, it's an integer. Okay, also let's run nav controllers. Nav controller navigate to the okay. So when we click the button, two things happen. We set the quantity and then we navigate. Okay, let's try running it. This is nuts. Okay, we want to run the app. Okay, there we go. we are in the second screen, and it's, so wait a minute, flavors. This is not the flavors. Okay, pick up. Kind of looks ugly, but it works. So when we click these buttons, we need to set the flavors. Control B. Okay, we're in the screen. So radio buttons. Select on click. On radio button clicked. Let's say on flavor selected. So this is gonna just pass in a string. Doesn't do anything. So here on flavor selected, we run it. So the string is just it. So inside of for each loop, we get the string as a it. So that works out. Cupcake screen. Now it expects on flavor selected. Flavor, let's just say flavor, which is a type of string. We need to then use a Cupcake ViewModel and set flavor. Also we want to, so instead we have a next button and a cancel button. So what do we do? Let's say on next button is clicked. So when that happens, we want to navigate, nav controller, navigate to the next screen, which is pickup. And then we have a cancel, and cancel button is clicked. If that's the case, we just want to go to the home screen. So nav controller, navigate to the initial screen. Start order, Cupcake, start screen. Okay. Now we just need to add this parameters in the select options screen. And next button is clicked. I'm going to copy that. Control B. Paste it. Okay, so this is the next button, on button. Okay, on next button is clicked. Cupcake, let's go back, and then we had on cancel button is clicked. Add the data type for this function. So that's the on cancel button is clicked. Okay, let's try. There are some errors though. Why is composable subtotals. Okay, for this. So let's copy this and paste it here. So when we click this, we need to go to the summary. When we click the cancel button, so we don't need to modify anything. Anywhere in our screen, everywhere in our screen, the cancel button gonna just lead to the home screen. So what is this? Okay, just add the thingy. On cancel button is clicked. So on flavor selected. So the button we probably want to make it generic as possible. Unselected. Where is, okay, unselected. So where is okay, cupcake screen. So what do we want to do when unselected? Okay, we got some errors. Why? Let's say user pick something. Cupcake ViewModel set to set player set pickup date. User pick. So we got some errors. 3 in fact. So where are they? Okay, this is the first one. Okay, let's try finding the errors. Composable, not good. This is not finding the correct. The associated, it's not finding the associated closing bracket. Options, for the options, selected screen options. ViewModel pickup, okay, that's fine. Total, that's also good. Next button is clicked. Closing bracket, okay, everything is good. And cancel button is clicked. Opening flower bracket, okay, that's good. Okay, there are a lot of braces. Okay, that's good. So what's going on here? This one, let's just comment that out. Okay, we can click them, but you can also see the total subtotals also reflecting it. So we can click them, but it doesn't reflect anything. So let's just change that. So currently it's set to false. So let's create a local mutable state variable. Let's just call it selected mutable state of, initially it's a false. So what do we get? Creating state of during composition, remember. Alright, we're gonna use remember. So when we click the radio button, not only are we updating the UI state, we assign it to some variable. So that variable is selected. So initially it's an empty string, a variable that contains empty string. So when we click it, we assign it. So we want to make this mutable, selected to it. Right, like this. Or if you wanted to use the by, you don't need to use it like that. I guess why is this? Okay, we need to use the import it. There's another import. Okay, there we go. So selected. So then we just call the, so we compare is selected it. So the selected, we're assigning selected text to some variable, and we're checking it. So if the current radio button has the same string, right? So it's gonna only select the current radio button. So navigate to the next screen, and there we go. There we go. Looks like. So we can't. When we click on the text, it doesn't do anything. So we can make a custom composable row, any element selectable by using a modifier selectable. So let's look at what it expects. So it expects a selected boolean, enabled, all this. So let's use the same thing. Selected it for the boolean and enabled. So by default it uses true. So let's use the on click. What happens when we click it? It should do the same thing. So it should assign it to the selected variable, and then it should update the UI state. So I am using the trailing lambda syntax for the selected function. At the end it accepts on click function, so I can just use that trailing lambda syntax. On click, select, and then click next. So what is this? So when we click that, our app crashes because there is no summary screen. So let's try kind of make this a little bit better. So it now expects a lot of things. So we are passing in options. So why is this getting data source? Subtotal. Okay, let's pass in all the things for this. We're gonna pass in empty on cancel button, empty. So what's next? Option subtotal unselected. Next is unselected, empty. All right. So let's run this. Okay, looks kind of good, but is really though? Let's just add some padding. So the column, let's make this, I'm gonna add a padding for the horizontal, which is gonna be 8 dp. Maybe there's a top vertical 20 dp. Let's not just worry about these things, you know. We're not designers. Modifiers height 50 dp. All right. Okay, not what I expected. Let's copy this and paste it. Let's also copy and paste it. Okay, there's already some spacer. Looks pretty good. We just need to make this font a little bigger and then add a padding for the button, and then we're done. So let's try building the last screen, summary screen. Okay, so this is the order summary screen. As you can see, they are using the quantity text, and then they're using the 6 cupcakes flavor. So these are all the things user has selected. First, we need to get the UI state. Then we can access all these things. We can access the quantity, we can access the flavor user has selected, we can access the pickup date. So this 6 cupcakes, even though kind of seems like trivial, it needs a little work. So it's formatted in such a way that if we selected 1 cupcake, it just says 1 cupcake. If we selected more than one, it just says 6 cupcakes. So in the source code, they do something different than what I'm about to show you. So in the next video, we're gonna review so what's different with our app and the source code. So let's create that formatted thingy. So let's say order cupcakes. So this is a string. So our summary screen expects a UI state. So let's say cupcake UI state. So this is a cupcake UI state, right? So we can just expect that. Cupcake, let's use that $sign, cupcake UI state, quantity. Maybe let's use a if statement. If cupcake UI state quantity is just 1. So we need to use these 2 equal signs. That means some equal operator or something. If that's the case, we want to return one cupcake. All right. So why are we getting the error? If must have a main. Okay. Else. This is cupcake UI state quantity cupcakes. See that we are just using the plurals. So okay, that takes care of that. 6 cupcakes, 1 cupcakes. All right, so let's create a list for this. So let's call this wall order summary or something, order summary summary list. So a list of a pair. Both of them just take a string. Okay, maybe outside, not inside. Let's start with it. First pair is gonna be the quantity. So I'm gonna quickly create this quantity. Okay, we're done. We just need to create that UI now. So let's start with a column, since we need to place one on top of another. So let's look at that. Quantity is 6 cupcake. Okay, let's just loop over the order summary list, and for each then we need to place another column. Okay, text. For the first text, we're gonna use the it dot first. So for the next, it dot second. And then there's a horizontal divide. Horizontal divider. So I think that's pretty much it for this. So what's next? So there's a send, there's 2 button, there's a subtotal. Formatted total, subtotal, Cupcake UI state, price, modifier, nothing. Let's create a preview for this. Okay, we need to pass a Cupcake UI state, right? So how the LR is supposed to pass that? So we can't really use this, I think. So let's just run this. So run our app. So it created, why is there another like empty? Oh, right, we have a empty. That's not good. So where's the view model? So the reason we have that empty looking garbage is because of this. There's an empty. Not enough information. So let's just say it was string. Okay, there we go. Okay, why is it crashing? Pickup. Oh, we don't have the summary screen. Composable. Cupcake roots. Summary. summary screen Cupcake. Okay, first of all we need to make that private. We're already getting some functions can access that. Okay, we need to make this UI state. So as collect as state required Cupcake UI state found state object. Change parameter type of function to state. I mean, why not value? It's gonna work. So collect as state returns a state object. This value will just return the UI state object. Cupcake. Select the button. Select it, and there we go. Quantity Cupcake flavor chocolate. Dude, looks ugly as hell. It's alright, it's alright. So they selected the cupcake, one cupcake. So they selected the chocolate. So the pickup date is not working. Summary screen, let's go back. The date, UI state, the date. So why is that not working? Select options. Cupcake screen, this is the pickup. Select unselected. Set pickup date. So if we go to the initial value, set pickup date. Oh, we're not updating anything. So that's why. Pickup option. So let's create a dummy date options. And just run this pick options. So this holds this was a list of strings. Pick update. If pick update is equal to date options dot get the index. What index? 0 index. So the first one. Then UI state dot update Cupcake UI state. Copy price for the price. for the price, replace the price with the price plus this same day pickup. So essentially this is going to increase the amount, or else do nothing. Or else just update the state. Update copy Cupcake UI state, and then copy the existing thingy. So why do I not get the option? Okay, we already have that. So Cupcake UI state copy. So where's the okay, UI state garbage, I can't see anything. So the flavor date, we need to update the date. Where's the ViewModel date? So the date is the pickup date. Pickup date. Kind of long, but so what did we do? So we are checking if the initial, so the first, so the first string in the update options is equal to the pick update. If that's the case, we're gonna increase the price, or else we're not gonna do anything. So the first string is always the same day pickup. So I'm selecting the Sunday, November 10. Okay, there we go. Sunday, November 10. So that's pretty much for this today. I guess this is way too long. We're gonna continue this tomorrow.